Thiru Vignarajah joins me now, a former Maryland Deputy Attorney General, and is running in the Democratic primary for Baltimore State's Attorney. Great to have you in this morning. Appreciate you coming on the show.
Good morning, Brian. Great to be here.
All right, so we know that crime is a big problem in Baltimore City right now. You give me your 30-second elevator pitch on why you are the right person for the job.
I really appreciate it. You're right. This is not breaking news. We are facing the worst crime surge in Baltimore's history, worst per capita homicide rates. We're on our way to the worst number of murders in Baltimore's history. I've been a city, state, and federal prosecutor. I've built cases against the city's worst criminals, and we've brought to justice some of the most dangerous criminals that are fueling this violence. We can do it again. We can fix this.
What is wrong with the current system right now?
You know, I'm going to run a positive campaign. I'm going to focus on ideas. What I can tell you is that whatever Ms. Mosby and the current administration is doing is not working. We have to figure out a way to rebuild this partnership between police and prosecutors. We have to restore the faith of the community in the criminal justice system. And we have to remind criminals that there are consequences to their crime. And that's not happening right now. And we need to.
How would you describe the relationship then right now between the prosecutor's office and police? And can that be fixed at all if there is a problem there, in your opinion?
You know, I think that there is a real effort, especially by the people at the top, to try to do that. But that's not something that you can mend overnight. It requires a level of mutual respect. It requires working together in collaboration towards common aims every day. And we're just not seeing that in the results. You know, Ms. Mosby has been in office for 3 years now, and whatever the missteps of a person in the early parts of an administration, you'd like to think at this point that they would have found their sea legs, and we're just not seing that happen.
So there's a couple different ways you can go about it. As a prosecutor, there's the zero tolerance policy that we saw during the 90s. We have more lax now, kind of who we're going to go after. There's been some complaints about judges. But as a prosecutor, I mean, what are your thoughts about who exactly, with the type of crimes that you're going to go after and try to put people behind bars?
It's a great question. We know for certain that mass incarceration and zero tolerance are not the solution. Those policies backfired, they have not worked, and they're not what other cities and what Baltimore has used to bring crime down in recent years. What we have done is working police and prosecutors hand in hand to identify the worst engines of violence and bring them to justice. You actually have to do less arrests for that. What you have to do is identify the folks that are really fueling the violence in each district. You have to know each community, each neighborhood, and bring them to justice.
Well, that's a big problem, right? Is getting people in the neighborhoods, people who know who these criminals are, to actually get them to testify, or even the victims to get them to testify. I mean, that is an issue. What can you do to try and fix that problem that seems to be prevalent in the city?
It's also important to understand, of course, Brian, that that's a longstanding issue.
Yeah.
When I was a federal prosecutor, we addressed that issue. When I was a city prosecutor, we addressed that issue, and we addressed that issue. We addressed that issue by making sure that prosecutors knew how to build trust with the community, how to make sure that they had the resources available to protect those witnesses, and just as importantly, to fill the witnesses with confidence that their cases were not going to be dropped and their cases were not going to be lost. It is a big risk that we're asking them to take, and they need to know that it's worth it.
So you talk to a lot of people in the community, and they'll say it's more than just crime, though, and policing and going after criminals. It is almost like a three-legged stool in order to fix the problems in Baltimore City. There's a social element to it as well. Do you see the role in the state's, as the state's prosecutor, top prosecutor, any role at all in that social element, or is that separate for you?
Absolutely. I mean, all of those are important elements of fighting crime as well, but we can't address those broader problems until we solve the problem of crime. As long as we have record-breaking homicide rates, it's really hard to recruit businesses to come to this city to provide jobs. It's hard to convince families to stay in the city and not move out to the suburbs in order to protect their families. Those kinds of things can't be addressed until we show to the community, show to the public, show to the business community that we are whipping this problem, and right now we're not.
Race is an issue in Baltimore City. I mean, I think that's fair to say. You have Marilyn Mosby, who has been here for a while. What are your thoughts on the racial component of it all?
Brian, I am going to crisscross the city from East Baltimore to West Baltimore, from North Baltimore to South, talking to people that care about this issue, that believe enough is enough. That transcends race. People everywhere in every part of the city don't feel safe. And that is something that's got to change. Criminals have to feel scared, and not because of retaliation on the streets, but of justice in a courtroom.
I should point out that Marilyn Mosby hasn't officially declared yet that she's going to run again, but you do expect her to run?
That's a question for her, and I look forward to her answer.
Very good. Thiru, great to have you on. Really appreciate you coming on the show. Great to meet you in person. Thiru Vignarajah, who is a former Maryland Deputy Attorney General and is running in the Democratic primary for Baltimore State's Attorney, joining us here on WBAL.